Tim loves to hang with friends and go out for dinner and be engaged in his volunteering work. Tim also had an aneurysm 10 years ago and was in a coma for 4 months. He spent many months in rehab and has worked for many years to recover his full potential. Tim has felt and learned a great deal going through his experience. He has been attending the aneurysm support group and also volunteers his time, energy, and great sense of humor as a peer mentor. Tim.
Yeah, I wanted to go last. So about sense of humor, I always say if you spend a year in the hospital and you don't come out with a solid 40-minute routine, you are not paying attention. Because they're hysterical. My hospital was Toronto Western, and I'm absolutely humbled by Tosh and Lee. Actually what struck me as I was listening was, I know there's a lot of interdisciplinary work between professionals and hospitals now. I think there should be interdisciplinary work between survivors, because I identified with Tina and I identified with Tosh. So, me. I had an anterior communicative artery aneurysm, which I know you're all medical people, so I'm not going to tell you it's here. Rupture on November 30th, 1997. And for all the smokers in the room, that's the last thing I did. Put out my cigarette and woke up in February. That just precipitated it. It's not what caused it. Anyway, it was a subarachnoid hemorrhage. There was 2/3 of a cup of blood in my brain. It was massive. And when my family arrived from Niagara, the first thing they were told was plan a funeral. And then I didn't die. I just went into my coma. And for everyone who is around people in comas, I was listening. I heard everything. I heard my sister-in-law write me off, literally say, well, he had a nice life, standing right beside me. I had my last rites like 3 times. And that also, I want to say, never assume a patient isn't listening. I mean, even if they're not in a coma. I mean, if they're in the room, they're listening. It doesn't matter where their function is. In cognition or anything. Like, I remember being at Toronto Rehab, and people were talking about me as being low functioning. I was in the room. And that's when I started to think of myself as low functioning. Fortunately, I had therapists and doctors who helped me see not only that there was a light, but that there was a tunnel. And I know I'm high functioning. I realize that. I mean, most of you would probably never know I have a disability until I start touching my shunt. And I love the fact that Tosh talked about his shunt, because I got a shunt. And mine's a VP shunt. It goes from my brain to my abdomen. But my life is totally different now. Before, I was a waiter and a bartender, and I spent a lot of time not at home with a lot of stuff. And now I watch TV, and I don't drink at all. And I used to be a traveler. I used to travel. Now I'm the guy who stays home and plans his route on the TTC to get where he needs to go. Before this, I went to Europe with $600 and I was away for 5 years. Oh, and I also, as Jane, I'm sorry, my brain is Jane said, I attend a survivors group at Toronto Western, which I helped found. It's for people with aneurysms and arteriovenous malformations. And out of that, we developed a mentorship program that's actually based on the Toronto General mentorship program for organs. Is that what it's called? Organ? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I talk to people all the time about my condition. I think it's fantastic that Tina doesn't think about it, because I think about it every day. And I cry. I'm not crying now. I won't cry. And when I speak to patients, I always say, yeah, you know what? It's hard work. It's really hard work. But there's a goal that we can get to where we can get back to our lives. And I always say to patients that I talk to and families, I don't believe in the term recovery, because I don't think you recover. I think you discover. I think that you realize where you are now and where you can go. Because I know I'm not the same person I was. I was like, like that's who I was. Now, you know, I'm basically darning at home. Yeah, that's who I am now. And I always say to people, you're so lucky to be in Toronto. Because, I mean, oh my gosh, you're so lucky. Science is what saved me. Science and professionals are the people who gave me my life back. And it's a good life. I have a good life. I mean, you know, again, no more party, but I don't go out at night now. I work at a shelter. And I volunteer at 2 hospitals during the day. And I thoroughly enjoy it. And it's taught me humility, I guess. Sort of, maybe not so much. But again, I'm just so struck by how much I had in common with cancer and heart, and I'm brain. You know what I mean? It was such a similar experience. And what I really wanted to say is, from a patient's perspective, you guys are in charge. Like, you're the people who heal us. So engage with us. Have a conversation with the patient. Even if whatever they say back to you doesn't mean anything to you, I mean, don't show that. But, you know, like, just engage with the patient, because the patient should feel like they're participating in their own health and recovery. You know, like, I want to get there, probably more than you want me to get there. So I just am in complete awe of healthcare professionals, because you basically took me to where I am today. That's really all I have to say. Yep.